Hello, my name is Vickie Ayres. I am the Minutes Matter QuickBooks and Quoting Tech Support Specialist. I'm also a QuickBooks Pro Advisor certified by QuickBooks. Our lesson today is going to be about lists, customer lists and vendor lists. And we're going to talk about the customer list first. We can get to the list of customers by clicking either on the icon up here, Customer Center, or you can also find it under Customer menu, Customer Center. And this is the list that we're talking about right here. Every once in a while, I will get someone who will ask me a question about their screen doesn't look like mine. They don't have this area over here where all the transactions can be listed. And that could be because this button right here is not expanded or is expanded. So if you click on that, you just see the list. And it's not nearly as helpful as when you click on this gray arrow right here and it shows this list. You see a little snapshot of the information that we've got entered on this customer, and then you can see their transactions down here. Now, let's talk about the tabs that are over here. You've got your customer and jobs, and I've got hierarchy created in this one customer, Casey Green, and that is my customer. And then I've got jobs or projects down below, and the one with an open balance that I'm kind of working with right now is that third one in the dining room. Now, we can also go to this drop-down menu and choose all customers, not just active customers, but all customers. And we get an extra column here that if someone were inactive, they would have an X by their name like that. So that made them inactive by clicking on it. You can also make a customer inactive by right-clicking, make customer job inactive, and now we get a little check mark there again, a little cross. And then when we go back to active customers, those customers don't show. Now they haven't gone away because they're still in the list. You just don't have to look at them all the time. So as you get a really long customer list, and a lot of them are irrelevant anymore, you can just make them inactive. You could always take a look at them by going like this again and then seeing them. So I'm going to activate them again by clicking on the X. So we have all customers. We have active customers. This one's kind of nice if you get kind of a long list. You could look at customers with open balances. And then you just see the main customer, which has a balance because of the job that's underneath it, it has the balance. And that is the customer and job tabs. Now this transactions tab is right here, and it says estimates, invoices, statement charges, and you could look at this customer's invoices, this customer's estimates, sales receipts, just all these different kinds of things, and sort it up just by that. Now, you can also take this list and filter it by saying all sales transactions, and then you just have the invoices that show, and payments and credits, and then just the payments and credits would show, and sales receipts. We don't have a sales receipt for this customer, but you can see how you can filter it by using some of these choices here. Let's go back to all transactions, and then you can filter also by this one. This particular view for all would not have another filter for it in this field, but you can filter it here by this year or all, and that creates another way to filter or sort up your list if you're looking for something. The other thing that's kind of nice to remember is that you can sort this all by clicking on a column. So if I just wanted to see, I was looking for a particular number maybe, and if I clicked on that, then you can see that it sorts the entire thing up by the amount column. And then that brings the largest amount to the top here. So if you were looking for something in particular and you knew the amount or close to the amount, you could search that way. Now the other thing that you can do is customize these columns. You've got amounts, account, date, number, type. Right-click in there and say Customize the column. And then you get this nice little dialog box where you can say, well, I would like to see my terms in this list. We highlight it over here and say Add. And I would like to see my due dates in this list. And then you can move these different choices up and down. And then say OK. So now we have a new column called Terms right here. And we have reordered them so that you can do that. And of course, you know, you'll figure out what you want to see in a view and then customize your own columns, and this will become very useful to you because it'll be working the way that you want to work. Now, the other thing that is kind of nice here is in the header, you can add a new customer, add a job, add multiple customers and jobs. You can create new transactions for the customer that's highlighted here by choosing the transaction here. And you can also send things out to Excel. You can bring things in from an Excel spreadsheet by importing and exporting. And we're not going to show an example of that today. We would need to be working with Excel in that lesson. And then we can drag our diamonds. One of the questions that brought this up when I was talking to a client was, she said, why is it that my client list, if I click on the name to sort it alphabetically, when I go to find the people in the customer list when I'm in an estimate or an invoice, it's not in alphabetical order anymore. QuickBooks has two kinds of order that it talks about, the original order and then, of course, this sorted by alphabetical order. When you're in another kind of transaction, and we'll look at that in a minute, it will look at the original sort order. Now, when you've got this gray diamond right here, this is not in the original sort order. So we'll click on the diamond and send it back to the original sort order, or kind of like the default or regular sort order. And you can see that we've got, you know, a Z at the top right above an A. And that doesn't make sense when you're thinking alphabetically. But maybe you want to put your jobs up at the top that you're working with right now. So you might rearrange them by taking the diamond and dragging it up and reordering it in a way that you just want to work with it right then. So if we have this and it's not in the original sort order, let's take a look at where that comes up. If we're in an estimate and we click on our customer and job, it comes up in the original sort order. So in order to fix that or make our original sort order also be an alpha sort order, we need to go back to the customer center and just reorder it. Bring the Z down, bring the ALL up, and now there's no diamond, so this is considered original sort order, and it would be the same. I mean, our job right here kind of switched around on us a little bit when we sorted alphabetically like this, but we can go back to the original sort order by clicking on that little diamond and see these are going to move on us when I do that. There you go. Original sort order. All of these are in original sort order, and I got them into an alpha order by just dragging these diamonds. Now if we take a look at the estimate and we look at our drop-down list, it's in the original sort order, which we fixed and put into an alpha order manually. So the original sort order is without the diamond, and that's what will show up and the way it will show up when you go to use those lists in transactions. Now, let's say that we were in an estimate, and let's create a new customer, Baker Allen. And I'm just going to do a real quick add here just to get it into the list. And when we go back to the Customer Center, the new customer that you create will always pop right into this top slot. So it's no longer in alpha order in the original sort order. It just says the newest people we're going to put right up here in the top for you. And if you want that to show up as alpha in transactions, then you'll have to push it into an alpha sort in the original sort order. Then when we go back to the estimate and we look at our drop-down list, it's still alpha in the original sort order. I know that's, I've had that question quite a bit, so that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to have this particular lesson today. Now, let's take a look at our vendor center. Once you've learned all these things in the customer center, you'll find that the vendor center is very, very similar. And my mouse is frozen. We'll wait just a second. There we go. There's the vendor center. And you can see it has a very similar feel and look as our customer center. But you'll notice that there are no diamonds. And that's because this one is just going to sort alphabetically. And if we go to this area, you have the same kind of choices. All vendors, active vendors, vendors with open balances. We'll take a look at open balances. This one has 2 open balances. Active vendors, all vendors. You can see we have 1 that is inactive. And we'll just make that one active again. And you can see now that when we go back to active vendors, you get rid of the column over to the side, and all the vendors are showing up and are alphabetized. Let's say we run a bill, and we created a new vendor called Zippy's Installs. And we hit Tab. We're going to quick add that new vendor. And then let's take a look at our vendor center. See, it put it right at the bottom, alpha for us. Now, I am not quite sure why the customer center doesn't act in the same way as the vendor center. It could just be some kind of historical thing as QuickBooks has developed over 20-some years that they just haven't had a good reason to do that much code writing to change. I really don't know. But there is a little bit of difference in the alpha sort and the original sort between customers and vendor centers. And we've got the same kind of thing over here with tabs in our vendor center transactions. You can look at all your purchase orders. You can look at your item receipts, bills, bill payments, checks, and credit card activities. And then, of course, sales tax payments. Now, let's go up to our customer center. And let's look at this little find. Now, our list is very short here. But what if your list was very, very long and you were looking for something in particular, you didn't want to scroll up and down? You could put this name in here and say find, and it would find that one customer for you. So don't forget about using this little find field to narrow that down to something in particular that you're looking at. Remember, minutes matter, as Debbie says, and all these little tricks and ways that you can learn about how QuickBooks works will save